Welcome back to Not So Pro Packer Talk, where we only talk about the Packers. Guys, today we're going to be talking about the Packers defense and what I think they're going to be this next year. But before we get into that, I want to talk about a few Packers news that's just happened this past week. Bakhtiari is finally back. He is off the PUP list. He is Bach. He's been activated off the PUP list, and he's back in practice. He's got his helmet on, his pads on, and he's with the other guys. He's still in individual drills. They're working him back slowly. They're being smart with him. He's paid a lot of money, so we got to make sure he comes back perfectly. But he's back in practice. It's very, very exciting. After all this time, he's finally back with the other guys. And I very much hope that he could potentially be back for week one. It would be a stretch for that, but he's going to be back early in the season, which is very, very exciting if you're a Packers fan. Other things that has happened, the week 2 preseason game against the Saints. It was a really good game. We ended up winning, if I remember correctly. But Jordan Love had a really, really good game, probably one of his best games that he's ever had for the Packers. He looked really good, had a touchdown to Romeo Doubs, amazing wide receiver. Can't wait to see what he does this year. But the biggest concerning thing for the Packers is the wide receiver drops. Jordan Love in these 2 games has had 8 drops from his wide receivers. And that's not just concerning for these preseason games, but some of these guys, we want them to be playing with Aaron Rodgers, and they're having these drops. They're being inconsistent. They're showing plays where they're amazing, but then they're just being inconsistent. So that's the biggest worry for the Packers going forward is the consistency at wide receiver now that Devonte Adams is gone. But into the main topic of this video, we're going to be talking about the Packers D. I don't know if you guys, if you're watching this video, how long you've been following Not So Pro Football Talk, the show that we've been doing for over a year now, but last year, before the season started, I said that the Packers defense was going to be top 5. There was going to be a top 5 defense. And I was wrong. I'll admit I was wrong. But they were a top 9 defense. And if you're just looking at total yards, they were very, very good. But they had a lot of injuries. Zadarius Smith was down all year. Jair Alexander was hurt all year. We were just banged up in a lot of positions. But this year, if I'm looking at the roster, I think potentially that this is the best defense on paper. I think they could potentially be the best defense in football. We'll have to see what they all come together as and what they actually are this next year. But I think this is a top 5 defense, hands down, potentially one of the best defenses this year. So I'm going to break down the positions, what we're looking at, where our strengths, where our weaknesses, and give you guys all the details. And then you guys let me know down in the comments what you think. I have some strong opinions that they're going to be great, but you guys let me know. So I'm going to start with the front 7 and then work my way back. So the line, defensive line. We got Kenny Clark. That's our big star right up in the middle. Kenny Clark is one of the best D tackles, nose tackles in the league, right behind Aaron Donald. Even though I'm not a big fan of Aaron Donald obviously has that number 1 spot. Kenny Clark is right behind, in my opinion. Kenny Clark has been a veteran for the Packers since 2016. He's had 2 Pro Bowl years, and he's a run stuffer, and he's able to still put pressure on the quarterback. Incredible D tackle for the Packers, and he's one of the cornerstones of this defense. He has been for a long, long time. Other D lineman is Dean Lowry. Dean Lowry has been with the Packers also since 2016. He's just been a guy coming off the bench and not a high impact player for the Packers. Last year, he's coming off his best year from last year with 5 sacks. Very excited to see what he's going to be able to do for the Packers. But not a big high impact player, but he is a solid person for your D line. Other person we just signed this offseason, Jarran Reed. Jarran Reed is a longtime Seattle Seahawk player. Last year was with the Chiefs, and now he's with us on a 1-year prove-it deal. Very excited to see what he could potentially do for this defense. At the very end of the day, he is death for a D-line. When Kenny Clark or whoever else is not able, we want to take him out to rest him. Jarran Reed is going to be able to go in there and play great. his best season, I think, was back in 2017. He had 10 sacks for the 10 and a half sacks for the Seahawks. So if we can get just a sliver of that action this year from Jarran Reed, I would be very, very excited. And I think this would be a great draft pick from us, or free agency signing. And then there's our rookie D tackle, Devonte Wyatt, who we drafted in the first round right after Quay Walker, who I'll talk about later. But Devonte Wyatt, we drafted him. He's out of Georgia. I haven't looked at too much of his college tape, to be completely honest. But he's depth at the line, which we need. Kenny Clark has just been him this whole time. For the past 5-6 years, it's just been Kenny Clark all day, every day. Nobody else has been helping him as far as the D line. And he said this past offseason, finally, I got some guys with me with Jarran Reed, Dean Lowry, Devonte Wyatt. I finally got some guys with me to help me in this D line, and it's just not me anymore. So very, very excited about our D line. I think this is potentially going to be our best D line in the past few years, but that's just my thoughts. And let's move on to our linebackers. We're going to start over at edge. We got Preston Smith. Preston Smith has been a Packer for the past 3 years. He's going on his 4th year now. We just extended him this past offseason, gave him another 4-year deal. Very, very excited about Preston Smith's future. He had his first year coming in. He had 10 plus sack season, played very well for us. And then last year, he was 2 years ago, he was just really, really bad. He was honestly our defense was better with him on the bench than when he was on the field. And then he took a pay cut this last year. It was the only way that we were going to keep Preston Smith, unfortunately. And then he took that pay cut, had an amazing year, I believe 9 sacks, and he was just incredible for us coming off the edge with our other guy that I'm going to talk about later. But big thing that everyone's thinking that now that Zadarius Smith is gone, Packers don't have that amazing pass rush anymore. Guys, he was gone last year, and we had an amazing pass rush last year because of Preston Smith and the guy we're about to talk about in a little bit. We're going to be fine. We're going to be completely fine. I'm very excited about the future for Preston Smith. I think he's going to have a great, potentially 10-sack season. Now talking about inside linebacker. All right, we're going to start from the top of the list with Devondre Campbell. Devondre Campbell was a long-time Falcon player, but then the past offseason, we signed him to a vet minimum and brought him into the Packers and just tried to restart his career because he wasn't doing very well with the Falcons. He was a mid-tier player, wasn't that great. And last year, he had an all-pro season, making first-team all-pro last year, best inside linebacker as far as last year. And he had the least amount of missed tackles out of anybody in the whole league. He's an amazing tackler, amazing coverage person, which has been the biggest thing that we've been missing in the inside linebacker ever since AJ Hawk left the Packers. We have not had a good coverage inside linebacker in a long time. We had Blake Martinez for a long time, but he was just a run stuffer and he couldn't do anything in coverage. So having Devondre Campbell being a great coverage guy and can really do everything was a huge help for us this past year. And he's, in my opinion, the leader of this, the most important part of this defense, if you ask me. And then this past draft, we spent our number 1 overall pick, our 22nd, and not 22nd. But we drafted Quay Walker in the first round, also from Georgia, just like Devonte Wyatt, a bunch of Georgia guys around here. But I'm very excited about him. He's going to be another coverage person. He's very similar as far as his stats in college to what Devondre Campbell was for us last year. So I'm very excited to have 2 great coverage guys. And then a guy I have to mention is Chris Barnes. Before Devondre Campbell came in, Chris Barnes was our starting inside linebacker who was solid, very solid, but he wasn't able to do everything. He would make us play here and there, and then the next player there, he would just look really, really bad. So having him, who is a potential or a past starter for a defense, as the third string inside linebacker, we are very deep in that area. So I'm very, very excited about that area. And then our other side of our edge rush, Rashawn Gary. Rashawn Gary is a rising star in this league, and he got to show that last year in the playoffs and last season with Zadarius Smith being injured. Rashawn Gary got all the snaps that he wanted, and he played incredible. He had 9 sacks last year, which everyone's like, oh, not 10 sacks, oh, whatever. But at the end of the day, the thing is about Rashawn Gary is he gets to the quarterback. He puts pressure on the quarterback. He was second in the entire league. I think the only person who was above him was TJ Watt, if I remember correctly. Rashawn Gary was second in pressures in front of the whole league. He was incredible, consistently putting pressure on the quarterback, affecting plays. He is a playmaker, and he's just going to take another step this next year. From what I've heard from training camp, he's been taking more of a leadership role, which is really awesome to see out of him because definitely because he's going into his 4th year. We're going to see an extension soon from him. There's no way the Packers are going to let him go free. The Packers are going to be extending him soon. So Rashawn Gary, remember the name. If you don't know the name already, he's going to be incredible this next year. Potentially, he's going to be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. But we'll have to see how things go. After that, in edge rushers, we don't have much. Our next best guys, Jonathan Garvin, who isn't that incredible. And then we have a few other people that have been playing pretty decent in the preseason with Kingsley Ingobare. But as far as after those two guys and our edge rushers, Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary, there's not a lot. And these aren't guys that play 100% of the snaps. They play around 60 to 70% of the snaps. So I am worried because I'm not going to just hype these Packers players up. I will say the weak points in this defense. After those two guys, as far as our edge rushers, there's not a lot going on. Hopefully some of these younger guys, these other people can step up and play great for us, but there is not a lot of depth as far as edge rushers. All right, now we're going to move into the backfield, our cornerbacks and safeties, which is one of the strongest parts of this defense, guys. We're going to first talk about our corner position. So we'll start top to bottom. At the very top, Jair Alexander's coming back from that shoulder injury from last year. He played it in the Niners game in the playoffs, but he was only limited. He even said that he didn't feel 100% as far as like being able to tackle somebody, and I believe that's what led to that him not being able to tackle led that Niners drive to for the game-winning field goal. So having him back healthy is going to be huge for this defense. He is a lockdown corner, a lockdown to take down anybody's number one wide receiver. You have Devonte Adams, you have I don't know whoever, Justin Jefferson, these other wide receivers. Jair Alexander is one of these people that can lock down those wide receivers. So having him back this year is going to be huge for this Packers defense. But we have behind him these other guys that had been able to step up after Jair Alexander went down last year. And we have our first round pick from last year, Eric Stokes. Eric Stokes played incredible last year. One of the best rookie corners. After Jair went down, I was very worried about Eric Stokes' his rookie year. I was very worried because now he was going to be asked to cover these wide receiver number ones, and I thought he was going to get exposed. It was going to be really bad for his career just because he's going to get down on himself. The Packers are not going to have as much confidence in him, but he played. He played really, really well. So he's very sticky. He stays on the wide receiver. He won't get off. But his biggest thing he needs to work on is playing the ball more. There was a lot of times where if he had turned back and looked at the ball, that they would have been interceptions. He needs to work on that. There was just too many easy interceptions where he was just staring at the wide receiver, making sure he didn't get the ball. He got a pass block, which is still good. That's good defense, but those turnovers are what's going to make this defense set apart and also win us games. So I want to see him play the ball more. And then we got a dog. We got a dog in our slot corner with Rasul Douglas. Rasul Douglas is one of the greatest mid-season free agent signings that I think in all of NFL history. In my opinion, I'm very biased, obviously. But Rasul Douglas, we signed him off the Cardinals practice squad just to get some more depth because we didn't like Kevin King. And we signed him. I remember when I got the notification that we signed this guy, I was looking through his stats, or his career, just to see where he could be. I was like, you know what? I think this guy could potentially be somebody for us. And then that Cardinals game, he got the game-winning interception. And then ever since then, he's just been an absolute ball hawk for us. I think he ended the season with 4 or 5 interceptions. He was just incredible for us. Rasul Douglas, remember the name. He's just a dog, guys. He's going to be playing mostly the slot corner. And then I'm also going to talk about another position that he could potentially play in our safety category. But before I go to the safety category, after those 3 guys, there's not a whole lot of depth after them. I'm looking at the people behind him. We have Nitson and Thomas and Shameen Jean Charles. Shameen Jean Charles, I'm butchering that name, was pretty decent for us last year, but still not. I don't have a lot of confidence, guys, with these guys. But moving on to our safety position, we got 2 of the best safety combo in the league, in my opinion. Adrian Amos, in the past 4 years, has been one of the best safeties in the league. I feel like too many people forget about him when they talk about the best safeties in the league, and I feel like there's just been disrespect put on Adrian Amos. But Adrian Amos is an incredible, strong safety for us. I love him, and he's going to just continue to be great for us. I really hope we can re-sign him next year, but I just don't know if we're going to be able to do it. And then in free safety, we have Darnell Savage. Love the name, love the guy. He's going into his 4th year. His rookie year, good. And then his second year was good. And then this past year was not as great. Darnell Savage didn't have that incredible of a year. Mostly getting exposed by tight ends. Mark Andrews had a field day with him last year, but we're hoping for, especially with our corner back room being so good, that he's just going to play even better. But those are our 2 safeties. I love those guys, and I think they're going to do great this year. But after them, as far as safety depth, we are hurting, guys. Vernon Scott and Devon Levitt. What's his name? Yeah, Dolan Levitt. Butchering these names, guys. Those were our hopeful 2 safeties after those guys that were going to be our backups. Both of them hurt. We just cut both of them, and because we got to find somebody else because they're hurt. And after that, I'm very, very scared what's going to happen with our safety depth. But as I was saying, another position for Rasul Douglas could play is safety. At the end of the day, Rasul Douglas is an incredible football player. He knows how to play the ball, and he has incredible football knowledge. Aaron Rodgers has consistently compared him to Charles Woodson, who, if you don't know, if you haven't followed Aaron Rodgers for a while, he puts Charles Woodson at basically the top of his list as one of the best players he's ever played with. And for him to consistently say that Rasul Douglas is just like Charles Woodson, it just puts him a very, very high tier. So just yesterday during team drills, they were putting Rasul Douglas in safety spots because Darnell Savage is kind of coming off an injury right now, but he should be fine, no worries. But we're playing him in that area right now, and that's potentially something you could be seeing this next year. Rasul Douglas moving into that safety spot. We'll have to see how it plays out. But at the end of the day, I think Rasul Douglas can play anywhere in that backfield, whether it's outside corner, slot corner, or safety. He can do it all, and I have the utmost confidence in him. But that's the whole Packers defense, guys. Let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are. I think it's top 5 defense. I think it's one of the best defenses in the league, potentially number 1 on paper. We'll have to see how things go. Obviously, you can never predict injuries. That stuff happens. Hopefully, it doesn't any big injuries happen where it knocks off our players for the whole year or anything like that. But let me know down in the comments what you think. Am I wrong? Am I right? Am I just completely wrong? Let me know, guys. But make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're pushing out more and more content. AJ just launched his Niner show last week, so if you want to listen to that, listen to that. It was a great show. But we're just putting out more and more content every single week, guys. If you're a fan of the show, you should be very, very excited for what we're doing in the future. It's really, really cool. But make sure you like, subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you guys next time.